go. I think I know what the issue is. I have to start the YouTube studio first, and then we start recording.
How the hell did we accidentally do this?
No, because I had studio up, right? And I said, "Oh, stop recording so we can change the."
No, I mean like the DomeCon episode where we accidentally put this out there. How did we accidentally do that?
I think whenever we were talking about it, and I opened it up to double check that the stream settings are correct. I guess I just did it.
Okay, so now we're good.
Now we're good. Yeah, we're up and going. We're live.
All right, let me get the link again.
Oh man, how does Garrick do this?
It's one of those things that like once we figure it out, it's gonna be smooth.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
yeah.
that's why I'm.
Now I see it. I gotcha. All right,
There
here
we
we
go.
go. Now I'll post.
Was it? That's why I bought that new desktop. Type, 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 type.
Oh man, I forgot to put the link in the comment. Yeah, my Discord has been so slow
I wonder if anyone has anything
on
to say.
desktop, on phone, on everything.
Yeah, Discord.
Okay, got it done. Again, no one's gonna be there, so cool. Here we go. All right, you ready to roll?
I am ready to go.
Okay, here we go. And remember, we're gonna alternate this open and see what happens.
I got you. I got you, homie.
I got you, homie. Yeah, I'm there. Welcome to Dads on a Map, a board game podcast by dads for everyone. I'm James.
I'm Sanchez.
And on today's episode, we're going to get into some recent plays of Indonesia, Regicide, Skull, and so much more.
And then we're gonna go do our main topic before Agricola and after Agricola. You gotta make your choice. Enjoy the show.
So, Sanchez, here we are in a post DomeCon live world, getting back to reality. It's a beautiful Sunday in Kansas City. What about Texas?
It is nice here. It is really, really nice. But we're about to get Hurricane Nicholas weather up in here.
Oh,
So yeah.
call me when they get to Hurricane Sanchez.
No, that's never gonna happen. But if it does, I'm gonna go to that hurricane.
So it was a great day of NFL football. I just watched football for like 10 hours. Me and Sanchez are repping our jerseys right now because I told him, like, you want to put this on the live stream? He's like, let me go put on a real shirt. Okay. um, but the Chiefs pulled it out today. A very hard fought first victory. And your Cowboys narrowly missed out on a victory on Thursday night, too.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good game. So I'm excited. I'm actually pretty pumped about what could happen if
Yep.
everything stays the same. But and then our right tackle decides to miss a, a drug test. So
Right. So like 5 games
yeah,
or whatever. Yeah.
it's
But yeah,
terrible. But
great
anyways,
start to the season. It felt great. It feels great to watch football again. I need it to keep cooling off so I can start making chili and all those good things I like about the
mm-hmm.
fall. And
Yep.
I had my first pumpkin beer today. We talked in the Discord like a month ago where you're like holding up your Oktoberfest, and I'm like, dude, it's 95 degrees still. I can't drink an Oktoberfest yet, but I popped a pumpkin beer on first football Sunday today.
I am not a pumpkin beer fan. Like I don't know. I don't do pumpkin spice. I don't do pumpkin lattes. Like pumpkin is just kind of like a weird flavor to me.
I'm down with the pumpkin, but I'm not crazy about it, and I don't know about the pumpkin spice or all that stuff.
No.
Anyway, anyway, you're probably here for board games, so let's talk about some board games. Quick shout out to a new patron, Vince, who we got to enjoy the company of at DomeCon Live, has joined our Patreon campaign. We're very thankful for that, and all the Domies who support us. If you'd
That's
like
right.
to support us on Patreon, you can find a link in the show notes, or you can find a link at dadsonamap.com. We love all the support we can get. We truly appreciate it. I'll tell you what, we emptied the coffers for DomeCon. We threw a heck of a party, but but the old Dome wallet is empty. So anything you
It
guys
is.
do and continue to pledge to us, we appreciate so much. It allows us to start planning for next year because that's really what we're looking forward
Yeah, it's crazy. I've yet to like really update all the ledgers and like reconcile all
to.
the accounts, but I'm just like, well, I guess we're gonna start from zero, so it can't be that hard.
Exactly. It's empty, so starting it over again. So,
Woo!
let's talk about some board games that we've played recently. Let's start off
Let's.
with the innovation tournament. This is the second one that we've done on the Dads on a Map Discord.
Mm-hmm.
First one was organized by our friend Special Ops, who I don't know his real name, so he's going to be known as Special Ops here on the podcast. And he did it again for number two. The first one, I know he won. I think it was like 8 people, and the
Mm-hmm.
second one, once again, Special Ops took home the win. He is an innovation shark. This guy.
He is. He is innovation master.
Yep. But I got in on this one. I missed out on the first one. And so I got in and got to play. I feel like we played like 8 or 9 games. There's probably 10 people in this thing or something like that. I
I think
don't
that's not
know.
that sounds about right. I mean,
It was
it
a
was
lot of
way more
games.
games. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And it culminated beautifully with a battle between me and Sanchez in the final round. Now, granted, this was between like two, like 4-4 people. So it was not like
Yep.
it was a Super Bowl matchup or a playoff matchup or something. But we did get to face off. And Sanchez, you want to tell him what happened?
So supposedly, supposedly, the talk from the other side of the screen is I misclicked and cost myself the game.
I did. That's what I did. It's
Because
true.
I had it in the bag. I was like, oh man, if I could just make it through this turn, I'm gonna be okay. And next thing I know, I get like a text message from James. I'm like, I misclicked. I'm like, oh, don't ruin this for me, man. Like you ruined my victory. But oh man, it's happened to me a couple times on that. Like, I go back and forth on like, should there be a reset or like an undo button on here? And I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, there should be, and sometimes I'm like, hey, dude, like, don't play on mobile when it's such an important game.
I know. Here, I can tell you exactly what happened. It was late in the game. We're in like the eights or nines in the cards or whatever. I don't remember exactly where. But I had a card played that I had melded already that when I activated it, or whatever you call it, I still don't know the
Hmm.
terminology for this game. When I activated it, if I had 20 light bulb icons, it was an auto win condition, right?
Yep.
So I had 20, right? But when I activated it, it gave me the choice to draw a new color of card, and I accidentally clicked the wrong color of card that covered up one of my 20 light bulbs. And then I was like, no, no, nah, and it was too late. It was gone, right? It was like, oh, no, I didn't. That's not the color I wanted to click. I wanted to click any color but that color. And then I was like, oh man. And Sanchez at that point, it was in that final, what innovation seems to do in my plays of it. Everyone is like beefed up. It reminds me almost of like a dungeon crawler or like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at the beginning of that
Hmm.
game. You're this weakling, right? You can't even fight like the first little goblins and they just kill you immediately in
Yep.
that game. But by the end, you're just like this super powered freak of nature. And that's what innovation is like because each of your powers at the end is just like boom, boom, just these huge body shots. So Sanchez had his like machine rolling. And I knew when I misclicked that, I was like, that's it. I have no recourse. That was my last chance. And that's what happened.
Yeah, there was some. I forgot what the card was, man, but that was like I was rolling in points, but
Yeah,
the
you had a
problem,
ton, probably 70 points. Like,
yeah, but the problem is I did not have the age cards, and
yeah,
so like you were ahead of me on ages, so like things would happen where like I could not get past like age 7 because I had to like eat all the age 7s to get up to like 8s and 9s,
right.
but you were already up there for some reason, and I was just like and I was really trying to figure out how to win because I think we were both one achievement away. Is that
Yeah,
right?
we were both sitting at 5 for quite some time, actually, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it. I still enjoy the game. I still love the kind of the swinginess of it. I love the rule breaking. But James, like I know you just you wanting more experience with the game. How are you
Yeah.
feeling about it now?
Yeah, I don't really like innovation.
Oh my God, that hurts. That hurts.
I don't know if I'm gonna try other Carl Chuddick games because everyone talks about them pretty similarly. So I
Hmm.
don't know if it's gonna feel any different. but that's not really what I want to do in a game. Like I don't really like it. I don't really like this. Like I don't know. I don't like the random feel of it, where it is
Hmm.
you are very beholden to your card draws. I don't really like beefed up tableau builders, despite the fact that I like PAX games, but they're more like tactical small tableau builders, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to play it in person because playing online just has to feel better than in person. I can't imagine counting up people's icons every time you play. That seems insane to me. Like, do people do that and is it fun? Like,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
is it any different? Is it any different than counting like shares and dividends in like cube games? Like that's what you're doing all the time, right? Aren't you kind of looking at people's like thing, like, oh, what am I going to share? What am I going to sell? What am I
There's
going to
just
do?
so
Right?
many. Like every turn feels like it would take forever. Like, okay, I'm gonna activate this card. I have seven whatever gears. How many do you guys have? Oh no, you have six and you have four. Okay, cool. So I don't know. Have you played it live very much?
I have played live two players with Monica a couple times, so it gets snappy, right? Because you
You
once you
know
know,
where you
like,
have your
yeah, once you
leads and
know what
stuff.
you can follow or not follow or whatever, like all of a sudden, like you just like in her, like, oh, she didn't put down another leaf, so I can continue to do this. So
Hmm.
like the bookkeeping gets a little bit easier because you're tapping that same damn action, and you know it when you can't do it because the card got put down. So,
Right.
well, it kind of hurts my little heart that you didn't like it, but I mean, I get it. I mean, some people don't like the card draws. Like I do. When I get steamrolled, I'm like, this game sucks. Like like when you don't get your tableau going, you don't get your engine going, you can't do anything, and you're trying to play defensive, right? Trying to like try to like manage icons, and sometimes it just does not work because I think in my plays, every time we get to like the combustion, the factory or whatever, when
Hmm.
the red cards start really happening, like that's kind of like where you decide like I'm gonna win or I'm not.
Yep.
Like in my head, that's usually what happens is like who can get to the the combustion phase of it, and then once you get there, if you can get there pretty safely, you know. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I think the individual arcs of each game can be fun. I just for me, they don't tickle my fancy, I guess
gotcha,
is the
gotcha.
easiest way
That's
to
all
say
right.
it.
That's all right.
Okay.
That's cool. That's cool.
Let me talk about another game. Another small game. This is called Mr. Face. This is a game, it's an oink game in a classic oink little box. And I picked it up in like a trade, a throw-in thing. And I was like, let me try this, right? The
Mm-hmm.
concept seems quirky and fun. So in Mr. Face, you assemble this little face out of cardboard pieces, and then you have a whole bunch of cardboard circles, squares, triangles, and stuff like that in black and white. And you have a hand of cards that you draw that all have like expressions on them. So the expressions aren't like happy, sad, but instead they're like, I can't believe you would do this to me, or ew, do you smell that? Things like that, like a little quirky saying. So on
Okay.
your turn, you pick one of your cards and you have to create this face out of the pieces. And you have to the count of 100. So other players around the table start counting and they go every other person. So it's like one person next to them, two, next person, three, next person, four. They count in a circle to 100. So you only have that long to assemble the face. And
Okay.
then it's kind of classic like Cards Against Humanity, apples to apples at that point. Everyone else submits a card into a pile face down of what they think they're trying to get you to guess the wrong one, right? One of those
Okay.
things. So
Okay.
everyone submits one that they think they can trip you up with. And then you also grab like two out of the deck. So there's going to be six answers sitting out on the table at the end. So you shuffle them up, then you display the six, and everyone goes around the table in order and says what they think the correct answer is. Um, as the person creating the image, if you get people to guess it correctly, it gets you points.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you are a person submitting an answer that did not create the image, you want people to guess it, right? It's just like Jackbox TV games,
Yeah.
Cards
Yeah.
Against Humanity, all that stuff. Um, and I'll tell you what, I had about as much fun playing this as I had playing Cards Against Humanity. This game sucked. Like I thought this was going to be fun for the family, and it did nothing for me. I was in pain. I was like, "Oh, why didn't I read the rules first? Because I don't think I would have put it on the table." Like, it was so
But did the family
stupid.
like it? But
Yes,
did
they
the
liked
family like
it.
it?
Yes, they did, and
So you gotta
that's the worst part. Yeah, I can't even get
you
rid
gotta
of
play
it
it
now.
again. Yeah, now you gotta play it again.
I would rather play the Jackbox party games. Like they are funnier and more interactive. Like I have a couple like on my PlayStation 4 and on the Switch,
Hmm.
where you're
Yep.
like they have some great ones. And this is like a bad Jackbox party game with the mundane activity of putting it on a table, which I know, like we're board gamers. We like to play on the table instead of electronics, but it needs to be better. So that's my very short thoughts on Mr. Face because I have nothing else
Damn.
good to say about it. No.
Get punched in the face.
Punched right in the face.
Ooh. All right. Let me talk about one of the games I played at DomeCon, and it was something that Phil brought. It was one of the many card games that he brought out to the table or to the actual convention. It was Cat in the Box, which is kind of the playoff of, I guess, the Schrodinger's cat, or like you don't know if the cat's alive or dead until you open the box. Anyways, dude, this is a trick taking game, but it has a couple of twists in it where like you're giving a set of cards with just numbers, no colors, no suits. And the suits don't happen until you play the card and declare what color it is. So you have these deck of cards, or this hand of cards. It's all numbers, and in front of you have this like player aid, and the player aid has four different colors on it. It has red, blue, yellow, green, I believe. And you say, okay, I'm going to play this, the six of green, right? And then everyone has to then follow along and play and try to get the highest trick and whatever. So when you do that, you also have this other little side player. Uh, no, it's not chart. It's like a grid that has all of the numbers of cards, right, from like 2 to 10, I believe, and then all the different colors. And so when you win or you play cards, you get to claim these sections on the grid, I guess I want to call it. And the thing is like if you can't play a card, you can then trump it and go with red, and then you can play up on the red spot, right? And the object is that you want to have enough points at the end. You want to be, collecting points, and you get points off of the grid depending on how many uh orthogonal adjacent, the largest area that you have that's all connected, up, down, left, right, no diagonals. So you're trying to manage how can I get the largest, I guess, area of control on this little, tile? Plus, how can I play my cards correctly and not create a paradox? When you create a paradox, that means you play a card and you cannot place your cube on the little grid because it's already happened. Someone's already
Mm.
declared that color or played that color. So, like, you're trying to manage, like, oh man, like, am I going to trump this card or like make it red? So then I can just play up on the red. Well, oh, all the reds are taken. I have to play something. And then if you I guess if I remember correctly, if you play a card and you trump it or whatever, then you cannot play blues anymore. You can't play greens anymore. So all of a sudden, like the play space gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And the ever famous knife in a phone booth happens, right? Where all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I have like two cards, but I can't play them because I don't have the right number or I don't have the right color. And I don't want to do a paradox. So it was really, really cool game. At first it didn't click at me until like I guess the middle of it where I'm like, oh crap, this is what needs to happen. You kind of have to really plan out how you play cards, how you're playing these tricks, and then how you're placing onto this little grid. It was a really cool game. Um, I believe it's going to get a reprint. That's everything. I think Phil or someone else told me in the Discord that it's going to get a reprint pretty soon. So right now you can only get it from Japan. So if you want to go to like Amazon Japan or whatever and try to look up Cat in the Box, like you can get it there. But I'm waiting for the reprint because I thought it was a really cool game. It's really, really different because know what suits you have until you actually play them.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. Like as someone getting super into trick takers, that I like the idea. So it's almost, if I'm understanding you, it's part trick taker and almost area control, right? Because winning it gets you on the grid, and you're trying to bunch yourself together on the grid, right? To
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you can have different groups, right? But like
right,
only their highest, only your biggest area will score. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So like you're getting points by doing all these things, but also you don't want to cause that paradox. And
hmm,
it's kind of like freaky because Phil told us we played the game I think 3 times. I think both both the last 2 times we completely filled the grid. And he says that's kind of rare. Like you don't, it doesn't happen where everyone gets to place their cubes and the whole damn grid is full. So we felt pretty proud of that. But I don't think we were playing as cutthroat as maybe we should have. You know what I'm saying? Like we weren't forcing people to make. We were just kind of trying to play our own cards and not screw up, which I guess maybe led to the board being filled out. But I want to
Very
play more
cool.
though. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I want to play that. That sounds really cool. Probably my biggest regret of DomeCon is I didn't sit down with Phil and play a bunch of trick takers. He had like this entire box of trick takers and card
Yep.
games, and I just got distracted by all the bright shiny things, like, and I never got a chance to sit down with Phil and just play games. We played a game of Tichu, which is great, but like I
Hmm.
wanted to make that was one of my goals and I failed miserably. People kept saying at DomeCon, it's funny, every time I'd be in a game and someone would say a game, I'd pop my head up, like, what are you guys talking about? Because I wanted to play everything, right? And you
Yep.
just
Yep.
couldn't, unfortunately. But so speaking of DomeCon, let me do a little segue here. I want to talk about Skull, which, if you listen to our last episode, you got to hear Sanchez's very dirty teaching of Skull. And tell you what, man, Sanchez, that play of Skull, not even talking about your teach, sold me so hard on Skull. I bought it immediately when I got home from DomeCon because
Great.
it was
Good.
so good, right? It was
It
so
is.
good. And then I got to sit down with the family and I played a 4-player game with my wife and kids, and it
Hmm.
was good. It wasn't as good as that 6-player game at DomeCon. So then a few days later, I took it over to grandma's house and played it with my mom and my cousin and my wife and kids. 6-player
Hmm.
game, and holy crap, it was a awesome play. It was so
Everyone enjoyed.
good.
Grandma
Oh,
enjoyed it.
everyone loved it. I mean,
Good.
hooting and hollering. I posted a video to Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, of my son, my youngest. He had called 7 that he could get 7 on the bid, and then took a video of him revealing the last one, and he got it and just jumping for joy. And
Yeah.
we had several times in that game where we got up to 7 and 8, and we had people calling like 8 of 8, right? There were 8 coasters on the table, and people called 8, and they got it. And I'm like, what is happening? Because 3 of us early on, we lost a couple coasters. And
Yeah. And
then
you lost your
and then we
skull.
started to figure out that these none of us had skulls left. And all of a sudden, those became really safe numbers to go after. And
Hmm.
so the
Hmm.
bid just kept climbing and climbing and climbing. But holy crap, Skull is like one of those games that now I'm like, what an idiot, why didn't I play this sooner? Like, it is
I
so
don't know.
simple, it's so cheap, and it's so good. You can play it with anyone, and way up on my hype list right now. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I love Skull. You can like, I am a huge proponent of just going to the bar. You can make friends at the bar playing Skull because all you need are coasters
Yep.
and a pin, and bam, you start playing. And people are like, "This is stupid," and it's like, no, it's not. It's like, it really is bluffing. It's like it's a card. It's like true, clean, pure bluffing. Because all you're trying to do is flip out, flip your coasters over and be successful.
Yeah, and it's a great feeling to put that skull down first, and then when it comes around to you, you're like, yeah, I'll go 3, and you just wait, and you're like,
And you're,
oh, I hope
please,
somebody
somebody.
overbids me, and then they do, and you're like, you dumb son of a bitch.
Like, I'm out. I'm out. I'm so out. I
And then of
pass.
course they call for your coaster first because they're like, surely if you put it down, right? And then
Yeah.
nope,
Oh yeah.
flip that
Bam.
sucker over, bam.
Scold
So
yourself.
good. I saw on I think on our Discord someone posted they have a new box coming out with 6 more art styles and colors.
Oh, really?
So it's the same feel. It's that, like, I don't know, what do you call that? Like the feel of Skull. Like, it's that, it reminds me like Coco, that kind of like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
It,
I
it,
want to
it
say
has.
like Mexican skull kind of art. Like,
Yeah, it has like the Latin feel to it, right? That
yeah,
like I get what you're. I mean, I love the art in this game. I love the art. I love the skulls. I have my favorite skull.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. But they're updating the art, or is it kind of
I
just
think the idea is just another box so you can combine them for even higher player counts if you want. I think.
mm,
I'm not 100% on that, but
gotcha?
someone posted it and the new art looked awesome too. So
Cool.
excited to check that out.
I need to get that because like my copy's pretty like run down because I'm telling you, people are slamming down coasters or sliding them across the table. Like you'll look at them all, like all they have
Beat
character
up.
now. Yeah,
Right,
no
right.
character.
Well, of course, certain people in the Discord probably say, you got to sleeve. You got to sleeve your coasters.
Sleep all your coasters for school. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I refuse to. This game deserves that kind of love. All right. Um, Up next, I going to bring up another game that I played at DomeCon. And I got to actually sit down and play Glory to Rome finally. Yay!
More Carl Chuddick. Here we go.
hmm So this game was like super complicated at first because I was like playing it. It was one of those late night games. Oh my god, I'm gonna cough.
It's okay. We'll just edit it.
I got something in my throat. Hold on, I'm dying.
See, this is for the live streamers only. They get to see this, and then it won't make the final cut.
All right. So what you're doing is you have this deck of cards, and all the deck of cards are multifunction, right? Depending on how you play them, their function gets changed. Whether you're building structures or building buildings, or using the powers for the different people or whatever. The game was really, really clean. And the reason I'm saying this is that I played import export a lot, right? And people are
Hmm.
telling me, "Oh, it's just Glory of the Room with whatever, right? It's a copy." Or like people are like, "I don't want to play it because, the designer for import export did not give the right, cred to Glory of the Rome about how they took certain concepts or whatever." But I will tell you this: from what I understand of import export, it's Glory of the Rome with a couple of twists. And so like the things that I like about import export, the multifunction cards, how to get points, how to build little chains and combos and things like that, how like the following mechanisms that are used in the game, all that is in Glory to Rome. Import export just does special things with like ships out in the sea and this pirating action, and so like it's these little twists or little chrome added to it. I still like import export, but man, I really liked the play of Glory of the Rome. I really liked how clean and smooth, and I don't say like elegant because everyone uses that word, but like it was a true. You have to really sit there and think, okay, how can I use these cards for my benefit? Like, what cards are out in this little bank pool, right? Because you have this little discard power that everyone's like you can grab from. Like, what role do I want to play? Like, do I want to follow this? Do I want to do this? Like, how am I going to get these points? It all kind of just gelled in the middle of the game, and I had a ton of fun playing it. Tyler, who was the person that taught me the game, it was his game. I mean, he did a great job about teaching about like, oh yeah, like this is what you're gonna do, and the cards all make sense. So I'm glad that I finally got to play it because I've heard, oh, like if you like this game, you're gonna love Glory of the Realm. If you like this game, you like Glory of the Realm because Glory of the Realm is all this, like it all comes back to that one game about multifunction use cards and the follow mechanisms. I cannot agree more. I really like the play of my game. The problem is like I'm not gonna spend like $200 to buy this a copy of it. I'm gonna have to like PMP it, I guess, at a cheaper price. But um, I'm also not what's it called I'm not unhappy with my copy of import export. It just does something a little bit different, right? It just tweaks it a little bit. So if you get a chance to actually sit down and play this, play it. It's eye opening in terms of like what the mechanisms work and how the game like just comes together just based off of little cards. I loved it.
I've seen a bunch of people on the Discord talking about PNPing this through like one of the like make playing cards kind of websites or
hmm
someone like
hmm
that for like 60 or 80 bucks. It feels like is the price point people are talking about.
Yep.
Did you like it enough where you would go there, or it was once probably enough once in a blue moon?
Like, man, if I could get that set for 50, I'd probably buy it for 50. Like, for some reason, like 70, I'm just like, 70 is a little bit too much. I mean, and it's a huge stick of cards. I remember talking like a
Hmm.
stack of cards. Um, and the problem is like I think I need four people to play it. I don't know how it plays with other accounts because we played it yeah, we played it at four and I really liked it at four. So if I could get it maybe just a little bit cheaper, I'd probably buy the PNP. But
Hmm.
like I said, I mean, I got import export. It does almost the exact same thing. So, uh, maybe I'll get it for Christmas, or maybe I don't know.
treat
maybe,
treat yourself.
yeah, treat myself once my cryptocurrencies come in. Maybe I can spend $70. But anyways, like I said, play Glory of the Realm if you get a chance to, because at least you can knock it off your bucket list.
Cool. So I got to play at long last on the table Indonesia, one of
Indonesia.
Sanchez's favorite games, right?
Love this game. Love this game.
If I was quick on the draw, I would look and see where you ranked it last year, but I'm not that quick. So here we go. So
I
I
don't even
got to
know. I don't
play.
even know where it's at.
Right. I got to play a 5-player game of Indonesia live with myself, Sean, and 3 other friends of ours. One was a pretty newish gamer in general. He kind of looked like he got ran over by a dump truck during the game because
Oh no.
Indonesia has a lot of concepts, right,
Mm-hmm.
going on.
Yep.
I think Sean said after the game that this guy said, I feel like I understood about 60% of the mechanics and about 20% of the strategy by the end. So that's not bad, right?
No,
Um,
that's a great tagline actually. Like that's
right.
what it is right there. Yeah, first play.
Yeah,
That's what you get.
that's exactly how I felt when I played it online the first time. Probably less than those numbers. So this was great. Like, holy crap, did it ever live up to the hype? Like, oh man, the shared infrastructure, the shipping, right? It's a game where you have to produce to make money. You have to use people's ships, so you're constantly paying out your percentages to these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um a- and you can hold people hostage almost with the ships. Like
Oh yeah.
you can end up, because you have to ship, right? You got to send your goods if you can, which means if the shortest route to this city is 4 spaces long and you're shipping your rice, you're going to pay them almost all your money, right? Sometimes more than all your money. And it's beautiful. And then so I'm like, I'm enjoying the ride, right? Like, I've got my
Mm-hmm.
little rice thing over here. Our buddy Andrew's got a big rice thing next to mine. I know it's under threat. Like, maybe these are going to get merged, but they're both pretty big, and I know the payout's going to be good enough that maybe I abandon ship, right? And
Yep.
there's so many considerations like that going on in Indonesia. So I'm like coasting along, enjoying the ride. I kind of feel like I'm falling behind because we started with just rice companies, and I had a rice company. Somebody gets spice going, which is making more money than rice. Rubber enters in the second era. Someone's making more money with rubber.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the I got to our first like real merger round, and it
Okay.
was like fireworks and rainbows and unicorns and everything just exploded in this magical like conglomeration of mechanics and ideas. And that was the moment that I was like, oh, like when I've heard people talk about the mergers,
Yeah.
I got to see it in action because I had the most money, which meant if you have the most money and the ability to acquire a merged company, you are in control, right?
You got that. Uh-huh.
But what I did was, instead of just getting bigger, I proposed a merger, won a merger, paid people, maybe including myself. I don't remember the exact details,
Mm-hmm.
but I got to do 3 mergers in that merger round because I got to orchestrate it in a way where I made someone in a weaker position and then just took the company anyway, right?
Yep.
Like, so
Yep.
I ended up with a Siap Faji company at the end of this, after, moving people out of the way and flexing my money. I went from, I'm pretty sure I was in last to in first or second at the end of this merger round. And it was such an amazing swing. Like, we've talked about like those amazing like pivots and home run swings you can have in games. And it felt so good in this game.
Yep.
Man, we did not get to finish this game, unfortunately, because we started at 9:30 p.m., which was probably a
Ooh,
mistake.
that's a mistake.
And it was like 12:30 p.m. and we were hitting era 3 or era C, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we basically all looked at each other and said, we're not really doing this, right, guys? Like, we're not going to play till 2:30 in the morning, are we? So we just agreed to pack it up and look forward to our next play when we know we'd be snappier too, because it's, we weren't digging over mechanics and stuff like that. But oh man, I walked away from this so ready to play again and so regretful that I gave away my copy like an idiot, man.
I
An
told you,
idiot.
man. I told you. I said, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you just like got a copy for relatively cheap.
$50.
And you're like, nope. I'm just gonna get it out the door. And I'm like, I can't, dude, you're gonna regret that so bad.
Now I'm probably still right about that, because who the heck am I going to play this game with other than Sean, who owns it? And Sean's like, I'll sell you my copy. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Sean's going to try to peddle his copy to me. He's like, I'm going to put it on the Discord. I'm like, ah, leave me alone, man. Like,
just poking you, dude. He's like, poke, poke, poke. Yeah,
now,
go ahead.
go ahead. Go
I was about
ahead.
to say, like, for the game, right? I think once you get better at routing, once you get better at calculating like how shares all get, like who gets what percentages like that. Like for me, that's the longest part of the game when you have like especially new people and they want to know, right? So like you're explaining every jump, every like from this ship to this ship,
Hmm.
this ship here, this ship here. So you get 50, he gets 40, I get 30, and people are like, why? And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So like once you get the routing done, like once you get that kind of pack, dude, the game starts to pick up a little bit more. And
Yeah.
then obviously, like, did you use? I'm assuming you used the merger payout sheets or whatever, right? Like the play
No, we
rates.
didn't. Because
Oh,
frankly,
really?
I mean, with all the 18xx we play, we felt pretty confident
You just
that,
did it?
yeah, I mean, because you get your divisible, like whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you have to raise by 4 or whatever, and then from there it's pretty easy math comparable to
Yeah.
18xx to calculating dividends and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like to use the I like to use the player aid because I need to know how much money I have, right? Because like if you have the
Hmm.
most money, you can bully people,
Yeah,
or you can
exactly.
force mergers and then step away and be like, haha, you guys have less money now. I'm going to take your company, and
Yep, I
then
love that.
oh
That's
yeah,
yeah, that's
it's
so
great.
beautiful. Yeah. Now I will say that holy crap, these components are so freaking bad, man. Like what? This game is so popular. Ho- do we overestimate wait, do we underestimate just how small an operation Splatter is? Like why have they not fixed this?
I don't think they need to, or they feel like they don't have to, because
It's
people
insane. It's
people up
almost unplayable. The map is so bad.
the
Like,
map is bad. The boundaries, the regions, and then like if you don't
right.
upgrade your pieces, if you don't upgrade, like, dude, people go and buy cubes. They take out the chits.
I
Like
know.
they're
And
they
you
start
need
to.
to. Like we played
Hmm.
with the actual components and it's a joke, man. Slapping those rice, those 1 inch by 1 inch rices on this map
Uh-huh.
and covering up an entire territory, it's a joke. Like
Yep.
I just can't believe it. Um and then so I wanted to rag on the components because just because a game is amazing doesn't mean we shouldn't give it shit for its shortcomings. And it's bad. It's bad. Like,
Hmm.
and then I tried to play it online. So I got home from this play, right? And I was like flying on
I got
cloud
this.
nine. I'm like,
Yeah.
Indonesia, let's go. And I'm like, Sean, you want to start a game? And he's like, yeah, let's start a game. And I was like, let's be careful about who we choose to start this game because I don't want to play Indonesia for 6 weeks. Like, I want to
Yeah.
play like we played last night. I want to feel good about it. Oh,
Snappy. Uh huh.
shit. No, mistake. James made a mistake. I shouldn't have even gotten this game. I know people are busy. I should have maybe set the expectations differently because I'm just going to call him out. Kyle held this game hostage for like 5 days and just killed all my mojo and love that I had bubbling over for Indonesia. And now I'm back to the never again. I'm not playing online, period, because this map develops so quickly and so aggressively and so almost spontaneously,
Hmm.
like it's not an 18xx map where if you start in New York, track's going to build out of New York. No,
Yeah.
not in Indonesia. The next era can be boom. There's now a city up here and there's a company up here. If you're last in player order, you might not have even seen all that happen asynchronously. It is not a good async game
Yep.
because the responsibility for me is too heavy on the players to actually try to figure out what happened between turns. And that's not fun. It's not
Hmm.
fun. We've talked about it before playing asynchronously. So I'm gonna finish this game, but I'm never playing this async again. I'll play it like live, maybe on Sloth Ninja, like sitting with people on voice. I think that could work, but I
Yeah.
don't think I'm ever gonna play it in that form again. But man, I can't wait to play it live on the table again.
No, I mean, I think you have a very valid concern, right? Like you have no idea where ships are going because some people are like, "Well, you got to go where the band's at. Like your ship's got to be used, and especially like if you know that, hey, like oil's not out and there's only like my city's going to show up, I'm going to put oil on this city, like I'm going to start building out that way. But if you don't know that because you don't know what I'm doing, because you don't see the routes being built or whatever, like yeah, you're like, oh crap, I've missed out an opportunity to like maximize oil production over there or build my ships to try to like cut you off, so.
Yeah,
But you
and
know what?
the shared incentive is so strong with like shipping that communication is to me essential. Like you, you know there's times you have to talk someone into going where you want them or talk someone out of going over there and helping someone, kind of like a cube rails game almost, like, right, like sometimes
Hmm.
you have to say don't offer that share, don't expand your ship there, or the rich is going to get richer, right?
Yep.
And like I tried to do that in the async game. I actually did whole player action for Sean, which I've always, everyone's like, you can whole player for another player. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's do this, Sean. Let's make some money. I'm gonna whole player for Sean. And then that fucker, he built his ship the other way, like a piece of shit he is. Sorry. This is how you know I like the game, because I get passionate about it. So I don't know. We'll
Oh.
see if that makes the cut.
That is hilarious because that's what happens. People are always gonna like do their self best interest, and like
Yeah.
no, there's nothing's binding in here, right? So like, oh
Right.
yeah, like dude, if you're gonna up my whole size, I'll make sure that I'm able to hit your city. All right, great. Bam. Sorry, I gotta go this way.
But that's what
So
makes
did
it
you?
great too. So good.
So you did all plantations, not shipping. You didn't touch shipping at all, or you were just
I
kind
did
of
in my live play. Yeah, I stole a
okay.
shipping company with my merger. Yeah. There was like a huge shipping empire developing right around the bottom island, and
Hmm.
that's where my rice company was. And I managed to take the entire shipping company, which is like 8 ships strong, with that merger. And basically then I was shipping my rice. Now it was Siap Faji at the end of this,
Hmm.
shipping my Siap Faji over my ships. So I was in a great
You
spot
you
when
were
we
good.
had to
Mhm.
when we had to end the game. Yeah.
Well, I'm extremely happy now that this game like hit for you, because I'm telling you, man, I thought the mergers, like, and I hate mergers, but like for some reason in this game, I get them. I get
Yeah, they're
mergers in this
so
game.
aggressive. That's why they're so amazing, because they're so aggressive and just plain mean, and I really like it.
Good, good. I'm glad. All right. The next game we're going to talk about is it the new hotness now? Are we on the new hotness train?
I think it is officially so hot that it's sold out. So yes,
Yes. Okay. So we're now to that level.
I
We
don't think it's us, but
it's not us though. But actually, I heard about this game at DomeCon because you have a copy of it, right?
that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
You should
So,
say the name of the game.
oh, the name of the game is Regicide. Ooh. It's a card game. Um, in this game, what you're doing is it's a cooperative card game where you're fighting against the castle, and the castle is the four jacks, the four queens, and the four kings. And what you're doing is you have a deck of cards, or you have a hand of cards, depending on player count, right? So you can have six. Is it six, seven, or eight
Yeah, it's seven at,
cards?
yeah, 7 at 2 players, 6 at 3, and 5 at 4. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Yep.
And so what you're doing is you're playing a card, and that card gives you damage, right? Against a jack, and a jack would have like 20 health, and it will then hit you back for 10 damage, right? So that's all you're doing is you're trying to figure out how to beat the card that's in front of you, which in this case is that you start with the jacks. And the twist in the game is that all the suits have special powers. So like spades, they're considered like shields, right? They lower the amount of damage that someone takes. Hearts heal your life deck, which is the draw deck. If you run out of your draw deck, you have no life. You lose. If you have diamonds, that means you get to draw from the draw deck into your hand, but it's done sequentially. So like if I did a five of diamonds, I get to draw the first card, and then the player next to me would draw another card. That would be the second, and you deal out pretty much five cards in order until you reach hand limit size. If you have reach hand limit size, then you get skipped. And then lastly is clubs, and if you play clubs, it doubles the amount of damage. So you kind of have those kind of like tools that you're working with, but the downside is the card that you're fighting, like the Jack of Clubs, is immune to clubs. So you can never like double hit this guy. You can also do pairs. You can do like two twos or four twos or two fives, anything that adds up to 10. If it's over 10, you can never do it. So you can never play like two sevens. But say I play two fives, you get a 10 damage, right? But you also get the two powers. So, if you play the five of diamonds and a five of hearts, you get to do those special powers together. You get 10 damage, and then, you just pretty much figuring out how to defeat cards. If you defeat the card with the exact amount of damage, it goes on top of your draw pile face up. So the next person that does diamonds will get that card, that jack, and will act as a jack, right? So it gets the hit for 10. Queens hit for 15, and kings hit for 20. Is that right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's pretty much it. And you're playing cooperative. The problem is, In all cooperative games, you cannot say jack about what you have. You cannot say anything about what you have in your hand. You're supposed to be able to just kind of read people's hands and how they're playing or what they have. And I will tell you from my personal experience, because I played solo, I played 2 player, and I played 3 player. Uh, Diamonds are where they're at. Like,
Yep.
those diamond cards are super important because that's the only way you can ever refill your hand. Oh, and I forgot the really bad part. If you get hit for 10 damage, that means you have to discard cards up to a minimum of a value of 10. So if I can't get rid of, exactly 10, I have to get rid of, and the only thing in my hand is 15. I have to get rid of 2 cards, like a jack and a 5, and that sucks because now I've lost 2 cards that were super important to me. And
Yep.
if you can't take the damage, you lose automatically. One person loses, everybody loses.
Yep.
James, did I miss anything?
No, no. I usually, when I teach this game, I usually describe it as a series of like video game boss fights, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
the boss we're facing now, and we got to kill him and move on to the next one. Oh, now you're gonna have to face the queen. So good luck against her. And I think the really important thing that you might not have said, which is more of rules teach than anything, if you kill a member of the royalty, you immediately face the next one, and that
Mm-hmm.
creates a really intense moment. You have to have enough, so you have cards on hand to kill this queen of hearts, but do you have enough cards to potentially face the next queen that's going to show up? And
Yep.
that's where you get yourself in trouble sometimes, right?
Yeah, especially if the next queen, and the next queen is the queen of diamonds, and
Right.
that diamonds are immune, and there's no way that anyone can ever get cards back in their hand. You're like, okay, you got to really kind of think about what you're going to play. Either do you kill the queen, or do you use all your diamond power to fill everybody back up?
Yep. So I love this game. Like, I played it first from just a deck of cards. I talked about on the show a couple shows ago that
Mm-hmm.
I tried it out with a deck of cards and I loved it so much. I was like, let me buy this to support the designer. Well, now you can't even buy it. They're like gone online, like sold out. And there was
Mm-hmm.
something even more about like they partnered with some company that's having some issues too. I didn't even really read up about it. Did you read up about that?
Yeah, so I
Was this
believe,
the gaming goat thing? Is that what
yeah,
this
it's the gaming
was?
goat thing. Yeah, it was the gaming goat. So I believe the gaming goat was the publisher, and there was some drama between the gaming goat and another game, and some sort of like hand gesture or some sort of graphic that like,
Oh, that's this thing. Yes, that's right.
yeah,
Okay. Yep.
yeah, the gaming goat did not, like, I guess, didn't address properly, and so
Right.
like the designers is like, we're cutting all ties with you, like, we're done. So right now the reprint for Regicide is like up in the air, like nobody knows if it's ever
Mm,
going to happen again, but you can definitely play with just a standard deck of 52 cards.
right.
uh have you played with the app, James?
Yeah. So actually, I played with the app on my most recent play. I took this over to my mom's house on Labor Day and I played it we played a couple 2 player and then I played 4 player with some people. Holy crap. First of all, 4 player is impossible. You only have
It's
5
yeah.
cards. Like it is so hard. Like I don't know how I've won 2 player once. With Sean and I won at 2 player. I won at 3 player at DomeCon. Me, BL, and other James. We
Hmm.
won at 3 player. Now it was our second play at 3 player. So sometimes you get, I don't want to be like real finicky about this, but if you communicate at all, you really make the game easier. And one of the main ways I feel like you communicate accidentally is someone playing a card and then being like, "Oh, wait, I shouldn't play that yet."
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
it's huge, right? When
It
you
is.
see, "Oh, you have the 10 of diamonds?" Shit, like you rework your entire idea off of that. So
Hmm.
I'm not trying to invalidate our win, BL and James, if you're listening, but I don't know that I'd give it a gold star on that one. But then yeah, played 4 player where it's just impossible. Like we got to the first king a couple times, barely,
Hmm.
and then just got murdered like hardcore. But I wanted to talk about the teach for this game. And then I'm going to talk about the app. So I am coming
Okay.
around to your question.
Okay. Okay.
But I taught my niece this game and she really had a hard time grokking it. The suits and stuff, she was having a really hard time. Like and she's the first person I've had a struggle with on teaching this game. It's pretty simple, right? Deal your damage, activate your suits,
Hmm.
take your damage, move on, right? She
Yep.
just kept looking at the player aid. She's like, what? What's this?" Like she was really struggling. And then I taught her teach you after that, and she was like, bam, like one hand to teach you, and she was like a pro. Like we played an entire game. She was good to go. Um, So I broke out the app because she was struggling. I was like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I've heard there's an app for this. So let me try this and see if it helps you. And man, I hated the app. So stupid,
What?
right?
Are you
Like
serious?
it's so easy to track on the table and it's so clean and it's so nice to just be able to look around and say, "Oh, look, Sanchez has a 7 in front of him. Sean has a 5 in front of him. We've done 12 damage to this boss. It's a queen, so she starts at 30. She's got, 18 left." And it takes too long to put in the card in the app. It breaks the beautiful flow of this game. So I uninstalled it on the spot. I was like,
Oh my
forget
god,
this app. No,
dude,
it's
that app.
pretty. No, but no. You can't convince me. I hate app, partnered games. And it broke the flow and just made me hate it.
Let me tell you, the app helps with the teaching because
I
somebody
know it
like
does. Because
because like
like
somebody's like yeah, like it reinforces what everything does, right? So you play this and then you put in the card and it says you do this and this and the person's like why, and you're like oh because of this. Oh, okay. I didn't want to do that. No problem. Undo. Just because we're teaching, it doesn't matter. Undo it and then play something else, and then all of a sudden it just it starts to gel. So I'm sure once you know how to do everything, the app might detract, but like forever for us newbies, no, I'm all about it,
I
man. The
think it
girls
is
love
a
it. The girls
good
love playing with the app.
thing. Yes, it's a good thing for people who want it. I felt like it broke the flow of a very clean card game. Like
Mhm.
Regicide is awesome because it's so fast. Because it's
Yep.
play a card, activate suit, deal damage, take damage. Next player. Boom,
Have
boom,
you
boom.
have
Instead
you
of
done
play a
solo?
card, click the button. Yeah, I did solo once. So the solo's interesting because you get the two jokers at your disposal that let you just refill your hand, discard and refill your hand. So
Mhm.
anytime you're getting in trouble, basically you play a joker, right? And the win conditions are basically win but don't use any jokers. That's the ultimate victory, right? Win and
Get
use one
gold
joker, there's your silver.
or
Win and
silver.
use two
Mhm.
jokers, there's your bronze, right? Um I think I only tried it once solo before I roped the kids into the table for a play, and I think I succeeded with the two jokers. I don't remember, but I like that you could play it solo.
Yeah, me too. No, it's becoming my like go-to card game now. Like, oh, I have some time to play. Like, let me just play this card real fast and then figure out how to win because it's funny, but I can see how it might get a little if you consistently play it, right? Like, it can get a little bit like okay, like I played this or depending on how the card suits come out with the jacks and the kings and the queens, right? Like you can run into like serious problems like, oh, I took all this damage because of like I had the queen of spades and now I have the queen of diamonds and now I can't gather her cards. It's like it's an automatic insta kill in my opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of like most co-ops that are like deck based or like the stack of card how the stack of cards come out. You can just get boned by the draw. Like if you start the game with no diamonds in your hand,
Hmm.
you have lost the game. There is no you can never draw, you've lost. And like we hit that point in our two-player game recently where we were on a king, but we had no diamonds left. You're done, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And
You're it.
and you know what? It's a quick card game. So that's okay. Like that
Yeah,
is going to happen in co-op card games. Like sometimes you just get screwed by the deck, and that's all right.
it's all right.
All right, Regicide, very cool. Play it. All you need is a deck of cards, and you can download the rules, and boom, you're ready to roll. Speaking of ready to roll, the last game I want to talk about is called Hamster Roll. So I saw this game via a friend of the podcast, Billy Mustache, who posts in our Discord once in a while and over on the 18xx and Friends Discord. And man, he posted a picture of it, and I was like, "What is that? I've got to have it." Because it's literally like a 16-inch wooden wheel
Oh,
that has little like runners, like little barriers in it, and there were blocks stacked in it like a Jenga wheel. I was like, "What is this?" So I looked into it. I found it on Amazon.de, Germany, and I imported it, and it's so freaking cool. So Hamster Roll is this giant wooden wheel. You have 7 different pieces of varying sizes, and on your turn, you're going to put it in the
mm-hmm.
wheel going in one direction, clockwise or counterclockwise. You have to continue in that direction. You put it in the wheel, and of course, when you put it in the wheel, what the wheel do? The wheel rolls because it's a wheel. So the the game changes. It rolls and moves forward. So the next
Uh-huh.
player, they can either put a piece in the same section you're in or one of the next section or the section after it. So they put a piece
Okay.
in and the wheel rolls. It keeps moving, right? So it just keeps rolling. And then what happens is if you put a piece in and the wheel rolls and pieces fall out, you have to take those pieces. And now you have to get rid of those too. The goal is just to get rid of all
Mm,
your pieces. Very simple, you know. There's nothing
yep.
revolutionary going on here other than the awesome, badass wooden rolling wheel,
Uh,
which is
other than the
quite cool.
other than the revolutions of the wheel.
Exactly. And that's it. I mean, I've described Hamster Roll. If that doesn't sound cool to you, then well, you're just not very cool because it was so much fun to play.
How much table space do you need for this game?
Well, so you are allowed to basically pull it back to the middle. So if you ever start to get near the edge of your table, you're instructed to carefully slide it back in the middle of the table. And
Okay.
usually things aren't so precarious that you would knock something out when you did that, like in
Okay.
my experience.
Okay.
Um the game is not hard enough, is what I'll say about the game. It's way too easy to get rid of your 7 pieces that you have and end the game without ever knocking anything out. So
Are the pieces weighted differently?
yeah, so they vary in
Okay.
size, but they're not a huge variance. Like they're
Okay.
mostly the same size, but you definitely have a heaviest, biggest one and a tiniest, smallest one, right?
Okay.
And you usually save your smallest one for last because it's easiest to get in there when there's a lot of stuff already in the wheel. We
Okay.
played a variant that we made up last time where instead of putting something in the same section that you're in, you always had to go at least one and two sections further. So we basically played like this aggressive variant where the wheel would roll more. And it kind of made it better because all of a sudden stuff was falling out left and right and people weren't able to go out so easily. So
There you go. Okay.
my kids loved this, which is mainly why I bought it because I was like, this seems like an awesome kids game. But if you want to spend $50 on a wooden wheel from Germany, you can do so. But it's definitely worth a try.
Can you take this to the bar?
Um, I probably wouldn't because if I was having too many beers, I know this thing would roll off the table and break,
And that's
basically.
it.
And,
You
and,
you'd be done.
and that's no fun for anybody. So I probably wouldn't. I usually have to police my kids pretty hard when we're playing it.
That's funny. Oh man.
All
Well, you
right.
know what? Next time I'm up in KC, I need to try it.
Yeah. Next time you're here, we'll play Hamster Roll. Actually, at DomeCon, he arrived earliest, and I picked him up from the airport and brought him home. We had some lunch at a awesome barn grill by my house,
Uh-huh.
and then I busted out Hamster Roll and we played it. So I guess it's my new icebreaker with guests.
There you go. I just forgot this big wooden wheel, place little wooden blocks in them. It's gonna be
Right.
great.
Next, I want to see giant Hamster Roll, right? Life
Oh
size
yeah.
version where you get inside it.
The what's it called? Like the lawn version of it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. On to the main topic. Are you ready, Sanchez?
I am ready.
So recently on the Discord, this emerged pretty organically. People were talking about, their collection and if most of their games were older or newer, and we stumbled upon this idea of before Agricola or after Agricola. So Agricola, of course, came out in 2007. Uwe Rosenberg, classic, uh, you know, Euro, uh, Euro worker placement. Some would say multiplayer solitaire. Some would say,
Mm-hmm.
"How dare you say that?" Card based, develop your strategy. This game came out in 2007. It dethroned Puerto Rico, which had a 5-year run as the BGG number one. In 2008, it knocked it off, and Agricola was the number one game until March of 2010. And currently, Agricola sits number 34 still on the BGG, top 100. So Agricola was a huge deal when it came out in 2007. Um, a lot of people point to it as the big change from the old German games that we talk about, old
Mm-hmm.
Dusty Euros, ODEs, and moving into the more multiplayer solitaire thing that Uwe Rosenberg really like kind of perfected and started releasing all those games, right?
Yep.
Agricola, and then Le Havre and Orat Labora and all those games that came after it. He just kept cranking them out because people were digging it. Um, so a lot of people look at it and say that's where interaction started to kind of die, and different game. There was a philosophy change in games. So we started thinking about, if you had to pick sides, right? There's like a black hole that goes to 2007. Marty McFly and Doc Brown show up in their DeLorean, and they're like, "There's been a problem. You can only have games from before Agricola or after Agricola. What are you going to choose? Like, on the surface, are you going to make a pick, or do you need to dig deeper?" So that's exactly what me and Sanchez are going to do. We're going
That's
to
right.
dig deeper.
Yeah, we're going deeper. We're
We're going
Agricola.
deeper.
Yeah, Agricola Inception.
So obviously, we can't talk about every game, right? So we're going to focus on personal favorites, games that are important to us, games that have emerged as important in the dads on a map, the domosphere, if you will.
Hmm.
So that means we're going to talk about trains. We're going to talk about Knizias. We're going to talk about Carl Chuddik. We're going to talk about war games. We're going to talk about PAX and coal and all that. So no sour grapes if we don't get to mention your favorite, okay?
Yep.
So Sanchez, since Agricola is on the table, this is the hinge point, right? It's in
Right.
2007. I figure it's only fair that we can have every game from 2007. So give us some games that we're going to get that come along for the ride. We get them on both sides, so we don't
All
have to
right.
pick sides yet. What do we get from 2007?
All right. So some of the notables, right? The kind of major notables from 2007. We're talking Race for the Galaxy. God, man,
Mm-hmm.
see, dude, everybody loves that game. Uh, Brash Lancashire, aka OG Brash. Everyone's favorite Cube Row game, Chicago Express, or Chex if you want to be the cool person. Container, which is I had no idea was in 2007. Like I
Right?
guess I'm used to like the new jumbo version or whatever. But Container came out in 2007, and everyone's favorite Portobello Market.
Oh, you got to have the Portobello Market. I mean,
I
that's
know, dude. When I saw that, I'm like, really, 2007?
yep, 2007. So I mean, that's a pretty good backbone, right? To start this project.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some good games right there that you get a lot of time out of if that was your whole collection, really. But
Yeah.
let's dig deeper, right? Let's look into before Agricola, BA, and after Agricola, AA. So because I'm starting this segment, we're going to start with the trains and the cube
All right.
rails,
All
okay?
right. Let's do it.
So let's look at before Agricola. We have 1830, which came out in 1986. We got 1870, which came out in 1992. We have 1889, which came out in 2004. Those are some good games right there. Those could make someone's 18xx collection, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Those are
then
solid picks.
Cube Rails is a little tougher because a lot of the Winsomes came out after Agricola, but you do have a couple older Winsomes. You have like Dutch Inner City, which was the Han Hedema game that we talk about. That was 1999. And then the beginning of the Prairie Rails system that we talk about on the Choo Choo Crew all the time, Prairie Rails, Pompous, and Veld, those were in 1999, 2001, and 2003. So that is a pretty good selection of trains and cubes that I could make do with from before Agricola. What about after Agricola, Sanchez? What about the trains and cubes from after?
So some of the notables is going to be like 1817, which came out in
Mm-hmm.
2010. You had 1828, which is a kind of
Ooh,
newer one. It's eight. Oh, yeah, eight. Was it 2018?
yep.
Um, you have 46, but 46, we have it down as 2005.
Oh, is it? Maybe I
Yeah,
put it on the wrong side. So
I was just like,
46 jumps to
yeah. So
the
for
other side.
yeah, let's do 46 on the other side. Then we get more of the cube rows. So this is where the cube rows are starting to actually come out. So we have like German railways,
Yep.
Irish gauge,
Yep.
which is 2014. Northern Pacific, everybody loves Northern Pacific.
Yep.
2013. South African railroads, which you can never find. It's a ghost.
Hey, I got
2011,
one.
and then oh, you got one, and then and then West Riding Revisited, which it came out in 2010.
Yep.
So
And really, like when you look at cubes, kind of modern I don't want to say modern, but a lot of the popular ones today, Amabel Holland
Hmm.
stuff, all her stuff really is from after Agricola, right? So if
Yep.
you're a big Amabel Holland fan, you listed several of our favorite winsomes. I say our, like the Choo Choo Crew, the Dads on a Mapper, South African Railroads, West Riding Revisited. So there's a lot of beef after Agricola too. And there's a lot of train games that I didn't mention that just aren't games that are in necessarily our wheelhouse, but like 1822, the 1822 family, I believe, is all after Agricola. It's like 2016, I think, and on.
I think
So
so. I mean,
the so there's a lot, there's a lot of trains and cubes. So which side are you picking, Sanchez? We'll kind of keep a little scoreboard here and just see kind of where we end up. So before Agricola or after Agricola for the trains and cubes?
I'm gonna go with before Agricola.
I'm
Like
joining you there. Because you know what? I can't pick against 1830,
that is
frankly.
exactly that's exactly what I was thinking. I was just like, like, dude, I love Northern Pacific, right? I mean, West Riding Revisited is a fun game for me. I have not played 1817 yet. And but when I look at like 1830, and Prairie Pompous and like 30 is such a powerhouse, man. That's such a solid game. I mean, when we say solid, dude, like if you only had one 18XX game, 1830, you'd be set.
Yep.
I can't deny that. So I'm gonna go before Agricola just for 1830.
All right. So early lead for before Agricola. The trains and cubes have it. Let's go on to splotters. I'll start before Agricola again. So
All right.
before Agricola splotters, we have Bus from 1999, Roads and Boats from 1999, Antiquity from 2004, and Indonesia that we just talked about from 2005. That's a
All right.
pretty solid roster, right?
Yep, it
And
is.
then what about the after Agricola?
The after ones, the ones that we constantly are at least being brought up inside a dome, is Food Chain Magnate, which is 2015, and The Great Zimbabwe, which is 2012.
Whew, boy, this is a
Dude,
tough one.
now here's the other thing. Like I did not notice, but apparently there's like 20 some odd Splotter games out there.
Yeah,
Like I was having a conversation with Kyle about it. And he's like, because I asked him, I was like, how many are there? Because I guess he's trying to collect all of them. And he's like, oh, there's like 20 something. I'm like, what? I thought there was like seven. My
I
bad.
think these are the big six people call them
Oh
that we
yeah.
have on the list here, and everything else I'm pretty sure is going to fall before Agricola too, right? All those other,
Yep.
Greed Inc. and Duck Dealer and the
Mm-hmm.
1830 thing. Those are all going to be befores too.
Yep. So
So I
where are you
mean,
gonna go? Where are you gonna go, James?
I'll tell you what, had I not just played Indonesia, this would be easy on the Great Zimbabwe side in the after Agricola.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing what I know about Bus, which is a great game that I haven't like fallen in love with, Antiquity is an awesome like Euro game that I like, but I didn't feel the need to own anymore. And now there's Indonesia, but then over here we have Food Chain, which I have a ton of respect for, and Zimbabwe I just have love for. I'm gonna go after Agricola, and it's not easy at all. I don't want to feel I don't feel good about it. I'll put it that way.
Well, I only have three Splotters: Bus, Indonesia, and Great Zimbabwe. So I'm going before.
There you go. And I could easily be convinced to go before because of Indonesia. And I'm going to say something. It's like a throwaway comment, but boy, I didn't really love our great Zimbabwe play at DomeCon. Like, it
I-
didn't.
you know,
It was
yeah,
probably the setting. It was 5 players, and we were really wandering around the house the whole time. It was a very social play, but I didn't leave that play going, oh, like I do. And so, like when I finished playing Soul at DomeCon, I was like, oh man, that felt so good to play again. When I finished playing Tigris and Euphrates, I was like, oh, I didn't do that with Great Zimbabwe. I was kind of like, oh, okay, finally, this shit's over.
like I remember when I first played it. I remember the online plays. I'm like, oh, like, dude, I thought there was something wrong with me. I left that table. I was like, that was really quick and fast, and not really that meaty. I don't know. Like it just did not hit for me the same way that you just explained it. I'm like, oh, dude, maybe my love of this is gone. Like,
Yeah.
is that hard to say? I
That
don't
might be
know.
a conversation for the future, I guess. Like I
Uh,
said, throwaway comment where we just shit on Great Zimbabwe.
all right.
Okay, let's go to Reiner Knizia, right? Very important
Yeah.
to me, to a lot of our listeners. You too. You're very
Yeah.
into the Knizia too. So I'll take the befores again. Before
All right.
Agricola, this is a pretty stars. This is like Dream Team 1996 right here.
I'm about to say, dude, this is gonna be hard.
Modern Art 1992, Raw 1999, Samurai 1998, Through the
Mhm.
Desert 1998, Tigris and Euphrates 1997, Stevenson's Rocket 1999. And that's
Hey,
the tip of the freaking iceberg. Like I could keep going, but I'm going to stop there.
no, those are the major ones. Those are the big major ones.
Yeah,
Like,
you'd also get some people would also add other things, Taj Mahal and I don't know
oh,
where
for
High
sure.
Society falls, but I think it's back there. So, all right, after Agricola Canizias.
I mean, do we even go through this list? Like, like, dude.
Oh,
Okay.
shade.
Oh, dude. Okay, so after Agricola, we're talking. It's the uh, what's it called? Spec. How do you say it, James?
Spectaculum.
Spectaculum. It
Yeah.
doesn't even look right to me. But Spectaculum, Spectaculum, which is 2012, Blue Lagoon 2016, Indigo 2012, Babylonia 2019, and Quest for El Dorado 2017. I mean, are we
So,
going to have this conversation? Like, I mean, come
I
on.
mean, I don't think we are. Those are respectable titles, but no, this is a before Agricola slam dunk,
A
right?
hundred percent, dude.
Right.
Like, dude, you just like those games. Like, I've played most of the before ones. I have only played what Spectaculum,
Yeah.
because the other ones like don't really interest me. I'm not really into it, but like the other ones, oh yeah, I'm into those 100%.
The problem is, and people talk about this with Knizia all the time, his designs are derivative. You know, he takes his own
Mm-hmm.
ideas and then cranks out a new game, and a lot of people have come to think and decide that the originals are the
Are the best.
best, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get some voices that'll argue against that. We have some Babylonia lovers, but if you're picking Knizia after Agricola over before, I just don't even know what to tell you. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to let's do I'm gonna kind of combine a few things here. Let's do
All right.
classics. All right. I'm just gonna call them classics.
All right.
So these are classics from before Agricola. You have Magic the Gathering from 1993,
Yes. Right.
Puerto Rico from 2002, Power Grid from 2004, Reef Encounter from 2004, Twilight Struggle from 2005. That's like a, I mean, Reef Encounter I kind of threw in because of Dome. Like it's a game you've talked about a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but like uh, that's a who's who of like BGG top stars and stuff, and Magic of
Oh
course
yeah.
gets the love that it gets. Um, so I'm gonna combine this here with also dusty old Euros, the or sorry, old dusty Euros, the ODEs, as I like to call them. You down with ODE? Yeah, you know
You know.
me.
You know me.
Um, so we got Bridges of Shangri-La from 2003, Careless Magnus 2000, Clans 2002, Fresh Fish Classic 1997. This is the new naming convention I'm going with because I'm not having the Fresh Fish edition talk yet. We got classic and we got new. And then El Grande 1995, Kai Vai 2005, and so many more that I didn't list. You know, there's so many
Mm-hmm.
old dusty Euros that we could talk about, and we have a million times. So we got classics, we got old dusty Euros. We're going to compare that to modern classics, which is a
Modern
long
classics.
list of modern classics. And I say that trying to give due respect to the people who love these games. So, Sanchez, go ahead.
We got Brass Birmingham
Great.
2018. Oh, Hansa Teutonica 20, or actually 2008.
Yeah.
Gloomhaven, which is there.
I mean, it is the number
2017.
one game on BGG.
It still is.
Yep.
Soul, Last Day of the Star, 2017.
Great.
Pandemic. Man, I love Pandemic.
I mean, you
Yeah.
got to have respect for what Pandemic has
Mhm.
done for the hobby, too. Like,
2008. Terraforming Mars, 2016. Terra Mystica 2020. I mean, sorry, 2012. Gaia Project, which is Terra Mystica version 2, 2017. All of the Cerdas. Galaris, Vinyos, and Lisboa. We're talking 15, 16, and 17. That's like Murderer's Row right there for the
Yep.
for the Cerdas. All the Stillmeyer games: Scythe, Wingspan, Viticulture, and Age of Steam 2008.
So, there's a lot of games in there that might not be like Domer, some of the Domers' favorite games. We got plenty of Domers that would look at that list and say, I got to have that.
Mm-hmm.
That right there would make them say, I got to take After Agricola because I need Terra Mystica. I need Gaia Project. I need Lacerdas. Like, and even if it's not Domers, if it, that's an important list of games to a lot of people.
It is.
Is an important list of games to you.
I'm looking at the list, right? And it's really hard for me because like I like the classics. I like the dusty old Euros, right? But I look at the modern classics, I'm like, man, there's some really good games there. Like, which one am I really gonna be at? I think I'm gonna go with the modern classics. I think when it comes to like this type of game, I give dude Hansa
I
Teutonica.
am raising my
So
eyebrows. You cannot hear how high my eyebrows are raised. You're gonna
well,
pick the
I
modern
can't.
classics over the dusty old Euros?
I think I'm going to, man, because like okay, I mean, I love Bridges. I love Fresh Fish, obviously. I love Twilight Struggle and I love all those games. But like, oh, dude, there's something about the modern classics. I'm just like, I can't turn those away. I don't think I can. Like,
Okay, respect. Here's my pitch for the other side. Now, would I rather play Soul than Power Grid? Yes. But you can choose your battles in here too.
hmm
My problem is Dusty Old Euros is a category that I've only begun to dig into, and it is so deep. We've seen with like Hidden Gems podcast, the depth of the old Dusty Euros is
hmm
just this unimaginable cavern that you can just keep digging through and getting dirtier and dustier, and you can't even breathe. The dust is so thick, right? And and they just go and go and go. I've already seen everything the modern classics can offer, I feel like, but I haven't even begun to scratch the surface on the old Dusty Euros. So
well,
I'm
you just
going
forgot,
before Agricola.
but you also forgot that the modern classics go on for infinity.
You're
There will
right.
never
You are
be
not wrong. You're not wrong.
the,
With that
the dust,
category comes everything in the future.
everything else. Yeah.
You're right.
So your dusty old Euros, like there's only a finite resource of those. Like that's it. But the future, my friend, forever.
Okay. So right now, before Agricola is slapping After Agricola around with by my count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 votes for before Agricola and two
hmm
votes for After Agricola from us combined.
Gotcha.
However, the Empire strikes back because After Agricola is calling in the big guns, right? It's
Right.
time to break out the stars. Like right now, it's been the undercard, frankly, as far as After Agricola is concerned.
Correct.
Basically, like behind that curtain, we're gonna hit the music. Then here comes Cole Worley to even the odds because Cole Worley exists after Agricola. So
That's
you've
right.
got an infamous traffic from 2016, Root from 2018, Pax Pamir, first and second edition. Second is going to be 2019. Oath from 2021. John Company, first and second edition coming. All future Cole, right? I
Everything future
mean,
goal.
there's not even anything to balance that against other than saying two check marks are after Agricola because Cole Worley exists.
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
what
and
else what else is there
but
to say?
but that's the thing. I mean, Cole has changed the game. That it's just a Cole. It's a Cole Worley game. We
Mhm.
say, oh, it's a PAX game or whatever, right? And like, not to say that PAX games are Cole Worley games, but like Cole Worley has like designed games that like didn't exist before 2007, and that dude, that is such an achievement. Like, bam.
Yep. And Cole, he's a historian, of board games, really. Like so much of what he does comes from his experience from games from before Agricola, I'm sure, right? Like
hmm
we've talked about him before and like his history of like liking Winsomes, and we'll find him in channels talking about Winsomes and stuff. And So coal is like this creation of before and after Agricola melded into, I don't want to say perfection, but my God, like the games he creates are just universally adored. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to put it. So you briefly mentioned PAX, and if Cole Worley is Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out of the curtain, well, watch out. Here comes The Rock right next to him for after Agricola, because now it's time for the PAX games. Porfiriana 2012, PAX Ren 2016, Pamir, and then PAX Transhumanity 2019. Like, my God, right? How do
Yeah.
you pick before Agricola if you're giving up all the PAX games?
Like, what do
How?
you even compare that to? Like, what games?
Exactly. Right. I don't know. I don't know what to
I'm
say.
not. I'm staring at you. Like, don't you have an answer? Like,
I
no,
don't
I
know
don't
what
have
to
an answer.
say. Like they don't exist. So like how do you check marks right there
Yep.
for
Yeah.
PAX.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not done yet. Here comes more. Coin games, right? Coin
Yep.
games, the first coin game is said to be Andean Abyss in 2012. You've heard the
Mm-hmm.
coin collectors talk about. And then all the others come out. So again, these only exist in the after Agricola time. So
Yep.
if
Cuba
coin is
Libre.
important to you, everything is after Agricola.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do now? Like the votes are piling up on this side because there's no competition from before, because evolution works that way sometimes, right?
Yeah, and it was funny because like I was thinking about coin games, right? I was like, oh, there has to be coin games before 2007, and I'm like, there isn't any. Like it's like old school war games, right? Old school
hmm
war games, and you have coin games. So like it just kind of like that light bulb came in my head, like, oh my god, like I did not understand or did not really know that coin game was kind of a new thing. It's a new genre inside of this wargaming community. I didn't think that. I thought coin games were like around for a while, but
Yeah,
I'm obviously proving you wrong.
maybe the only competition for it would be like commands and colors system, right?
But no, Command and Colors I think is also
I think
2020.
Ancients is 2006. So
Is it? Okay, I
we
was gonna
can
say maybe it's
definitely put them in the before. But again, like most war gamers I think are going to choose coin over that.
well, I don't know, right? I mean, you have those people that
Depends what
they have
kind of gamer you are. John
yeah.
Rogers, he's going to pick commands and colors, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, also like you had these war games that came out of magazines. You know what I'm saying? Like old, like dude, old school, like your
hmm
chits and stuff like that. It's the Command and Colors, Medieval, 2019,
Yeah,
Samurai Battles, 2021,
right.
Combat Commander, 2006. I think that's the earliest one
There
that I
you go.
found.
Yep.
Ancients was 2006, and
Yep.
Napoleonics or the Napoleon one,
Yep.
2010. So
Hmm.
it's super
Okay,
interesting.
so I mean, it was looking like a whooping, and then Cole and Coin and Pax came through and evened things up. So
Hmm.
let's talk about the kind of the others. So here's some others from after Agricola. We'll start there. We have Fresh Fish New Edition, right?
Hmm.
Which Sanchez and I have campaigned for this game, but if I can get the old one and the old one, I'll play the old one, right? Like
Yep, yep. You
having
get
the
both.
ability to get the new one is not going to put me over on after Agricola. Skull, which we just talked about, has a 2011 release. Now it is like a
Hmm.
considered like an ancient game almost, where it's just like a historic game. So
It's
you
like
could
skull
argue,
and roses or something like that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Haggis, which we talk about a lot, that's 2010.
Hmm.
And here's a big other one, Battlestar Galactica 2008. Considered like you think of it as a kind of game from the past, which it is, but it's after
Hmm.
Agricola, and it's kind of has its old kind of styling, of course, since it's like a pure uh Ameritrash game, I guess,
Yep.
lack of a
Yep.
better word. So what about others from before Agricola to kind of combat those?
Yeah. Okay. So like this is where it gets all hairy, right? Because when you say other and it's before Agricola, we're talking like we're going way back. We're going like
Everything, right?
everything. So like, dude, we're talking Crokinole, we're talking Go, chess,
Yep.
uh, Teach You, which is not an old school game. It is actually from 1991. Dude, my
hmm
favorite, Bonanza. Like, how can you go wrong with Bonanza? That's a 2000 game.
Yep.
Backgammon,
hmm
Diplomacy, dude. Look this up. 1959 is
Right.
what is the date I got for diplomacy. I'm like, whoa. Can't stop 1980, which is a really good year for me. So
So, and then of course, that's kind of the antithesis to the you have everything in the future if you pick after Agricola, but you're giving up everything from the past.
hmm
Crokinole, goal, chess, like everything.
every,
Checkers,
that's right.
backgammon, everything that's ever existed. Tic tac
Dominoes.
toe. So for others, I'm picking I gotta take before Agricola. Like
I think so too.
Crokinole and
Like,
chess alone would seal that deal probably for me.
yeah, I dude, the games that we're playing, the games that are constantly brought up with inside a dome. Dude, I mean, I love Fresh Fish, love it, right? I love Skull, Haggis, Battlestar Galactica. I loved all those games, right? But like when it comes to like this kind of specific set of just kind of like the catch-all, I look at all those the Crocono and Tichu and Bonanza and Backgammon and Diplomat. I love all those games. So like I'm gonna give the nod to before.
So by my loose scoring here, this is Dad's on a map where the points don't matter and everything's made up. Um,
Woo.
I've got us down as 8-8. All right. So it's
What?
yeah, because they frankly after Agricola got a free 2 points from Coin, Pax, and Cole Worley. Like, so it's all tied up. So it just means we got to make our final decision. So if you have to pick, you can only play these games for the rest of your life. Are you going to give up Pax, Cole, the Great Zimbabwe, most winsome games, you know, the future, the modern classics? Are you going to give all those up so you can play 1830, Indonesia, Reiner Knizia's star-studded catalog, Twilight Struggle, Magic the Gathering, dusty old Euros, Go, Crokinole, Chess? Where are you picking?
Man, I really thought this would be like insightful and be like, oh, like even though we say we're old school gamers or whatever, like we like old games. Like I really thought that after would somehow win when we kind of just looked at where we were standing, right? I think my heart is really set in before. I don't think
Hmm.
I can give those games up. Like as much as I love Cole games, as much as I love PAX games, as much as I love, like everything that we have and the games that are now out and the designs and the mechanisms and the just the whole genre of games that we have, I don't think I can ever give up the simplicity of like those older games that are like just their perfection. They're there and they've withstood the test of time, dude. Like how the hell are people still playing diplomacy when it's 1959 and they're still, or you go, like I don't know. I'm gonna go before.
Yeah, I don't think it'll surprise anybody that I'm going to say the same. Like, I will give up the things that I said. I'll give up my favorite Cube Rails games, South African Railroads and West Riding Revisited. I'll give up Soul, Last Days of a Star. I'll give up PAX Pamir, second edition, and Porfiriana for the ability to continue to play some of these games. Tichu, Crokinole,
Hmm.
Tigris and Euphrates, Bridges of Shangri-La, Raw, Modern Art, maybe Indonesia, and of course 1830. Like,
Yeah.
it's a hard decision. It is a hard decision, but I will pick before Agricola if I had to. So that's it. I hope this was
Yeah.
insightful.
I think an interesting insight. Well, hello, are you
No,
there?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh my god. No, I was about to say that. I think it was really insightful, like seeing the before and after, and how these games like came, like have evolved, and it's really kind of cool, right? Like you see, like how like this this point that we picked about Agricola, and how we see how games were there or before, and how they are now.
Yep.
I think that's I like I said, I really thought we are gonna be more after, based off of like cold games and all that stuff, but I think it was just really kind of cool mental exercise for us.
Yeah. I'd love to hear about it on the Discord. So hopefully we can get a little thread going in a thread. You hear me, people? You thread it. I hope we can
Thread
get
it.
a thread going in the podcast talk about what everyone would choose, because I thought it'd be fun for us to lay out the data here, throw up some of these games. If there's any that you think we've missed, I want to hear about those, these notable ones that are very important to you, to each individual gamer. Like, I want to hear what we left out that would be a check mark on one side or the other. Did we miss a
Hmm.
whole category? Maybe we did. Like, there's a lot of modern abstracts that people like Trevor and like Tyler maybe would say could compete with the love for Go, right? They might not beat
Hmm.
it, but they could help compete, these modern abstracts.
Yep.
Um, so I'm really interested to hear what people have to say. I'm interested to hear how you guys choose, if you're going to be a before Agricola or an after Agricola, and how that stacks up.
It's gonna be interesting to hear all those points.
Yep, can't wait. All right, that's another episode of Dads on the Map. Episode number 49 is in the books. Join us next time for episode number 50, which I believe is
50.
going to fall right around our 2-year anniversary, which is a pretty cool thing to
Wow.
say, Sanchez. Pretty cool.
It's been 2 years, man. Wow. I guess
Crazy, right?
we got to talk about it next time.
2 years is the first time I've ever seen you in a Dallas Cowboys jersey. Is that Tony Romo jersey, man?
Yeah, dude. Old school, dude. Old school.
They sell people that play for the team now.
No, dude. I got like a Roy Williams jersey. I got like a Tony Romo. Dude. I guess I go retro, man. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm all about. This was in the. This is what this was in like what 10 years ago. So I'm
Right.
good. Who
All
you
right.
repping? Who
That's Patrick Mahomes, baby.
is he? 15? I don't even pay attention
Oh,
to
come
numbers.
on. Is he 15? I don't know the number of the MVP of the league. What are we going to do with you?
Your league, not my league.
All right. Until next time, join us on the Discord, of course. Check the show notes, dadsonaMap.com, where you can check out our top games list. You can check out links to the Choo Choo Crew streams, where the Choo Choo Crew is now streaming every week on YouTube. And you can check out our merchandise store, Patreon link, all that stuff. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and all the places, right?
All the
Until
places.
until next time, enjoy your fall. This is James.
This
See
is
you later.
Sanchez. Peace out.
All right. And to the people watching live, which is probably nobody, thanks for joining us.
Right now, it's nobody.
Oh, John
Uh,
John was in here. Oh, Hector
four,
was in here. I wasn't even looking
14.
at the chat, man.
Yeah, it's 14 playbacks. At most, 3 people at a time.
Hey, look at us,
Yeah.
superstars.
Average watch time 8 minutes.
8 minutes. That's all you could take at James and Sanchez.
All right, we're gonna end that.